Hello, dear students. Welcome to the Bajirao IS Academy. Today is 5th December, and we are going to discuss the Daily Hindu newspaper analysis. So, in today's session, we have two important articles in discussion. Number one is related to Cyclone Michaung. You know that this cyclone is coming towards the Andhra Pradesh coast, but it has influence over the Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh and adjoining states. So here we will understand why this cyclone gets developed and also how the naming of cyclones is done. Okay, and further we will shift towards the dark shadow of New Delhi's credibility. That is the second article, and it is related to the recent allegation put forwarded by the US Department of Justice that relates to the involvement of Indian national in plotting the killing of the Khalistani separatist, that is Guru Patwant Singh Panno. So here in this article there is a discussion that this type of incidents may damage India's credibility of soft power, and also we will elaborate some of the other incidents that have the linkages related to the allegations of India's involvement. Okay, so we will look further. So now we are shifting to the article discussion, and you can relate the first article with GS paper 1. Okay, and you know that the cyclone, which is named as Michang, is trying to hit the coast of Andhra Pradesh. But the effect of this cyclone is visible in Tamil Nadu as well, in Andhra Pradesh as well, and in Odisha as well. And here, try to look the picture, okay? And you are seeing some of the dark patterns. So these dark patterns is nothing but the clouds, excessive clouds that form due to the development of cyclone, and these cyclone is moving towards the Andhra Pradesh. So once upon a time it was around the Tamil Nadu, and that's why you are seeing the havoc brought by the cyclone in terms of excessive rainfall, the wind storm. Okay, and in fact it killed 6 life as well. So how this cyclone gets developed and how its naming is done, so we are going to explore, and this is the real picture you are seeing. It is related to the Chennai. Okay, so excessive rainfall, and even the airport operation is halted. Okay, so when we talk about cyclone, so these are atmospheric disturbances. Okay, and cyclones can be categorized into two types broadly. Number one, the tropical cyclone, and number two, the temperate cyclone. You can call the temperate cyclone as extra tropical cyclone because it occurs beyond the tropical latitude, that is the temperate latitude. Okay, and when we talk about tropical cyclone, so these are basically low pressure area, better to say extreme low pressure area, developed in the water body like oceans and sea because of extreme low pressure. Okay, and because of the extreme low pressure, there is the development of the convection process. And you know that in geography, what do you mean by convection? The rise up of warm air mass or the moisture laden air, and then when it rises it starts condensing. Okay, because as we rise the temperature in the troposphere starts falling. Okay, so when the moisture laden warm air will rise, they will start forming the cloud, and after that they will cool down and give rainfall via precipitation. Okay, so that's the process we know in the climate. Maybe you have studied the climate. Okay, so these tropical cyclones is the outcome of the development of extreme isobar between the low pressure and the high pressure Here you can see that this is extreme low pressure and this is the high pressure. Okay, so wind travels from the low pressure, from high pressure to low pressure. So this is the circulation which goes on. Okay, so in tropical cyclone, what is happening, that the Bay of Bengal, which is a water body, okay, and in this period the Bay of Bengal is relatively warmer. Okay, and because of that there is the rise of the moisture laden warm air in the atmosphere, and after that there will be the condensation, and along with there will be subsiding of the air. Okay, but this tropical cyclone is seasonal in nature because it requires certain condition to get fulfilled, to be developed. So we will understand that condition. But the impact of climate change on the atmosphere, on the climate, is also visible because sometimes these cyclones are coming without early warning. Okay, so that's the important point. So let's explore what are the certain conditions required for the formation of cyclone. Number one, the large sea surface area with temperature higher than 26 to 27 degrees Celsius. You mean that the temperature requires is very high, because it is very important for the development of low pressure, along with presence of Coriolis force. This is very important fact, and even UPSC in its prelims paper asked more questions regarding the Coriolis force and the cyclones linkage. So here I am trying to elaborate that the Coriolis force are deflectionary force. Okay, and what does it do? It like changes the directions of the wind, okay, or the ocean current. So these are like directionary forces, pseudo forces, but they have the influence in changing the direction of the wind or the ocean current. Okay, but when we talk about the formation of tropical cyclone, this Coriolis force is must, because it will help the cyclone in making the cyclone circulatory. Okay, that's why we have the name cyclone. And there are further conditions like a small variation in the vertical wind speed along with pre-existing weak low pressure area is needed. So pre-existing, that means if there is a low pressure area, so let's say if the lowest low pressure area gets intensified, that means there is a proper condition for the development of cyclone. And then we have the upper divergence of the air above the sea level. What does it mean? That this is the low pressure area in the ocean. Okay, so the air will rise and it will diverge. So this is the upper air divergent concept, because we have tropopause. Okay, that is the limit of the troposphere, and hence the air gets diverged from the tropopause. Okay, so that's the point. And when we talk about the direction of the wind, of the circulation or the cyclonic pattern, so in the northern hemisphere, okay, so the air circulates in an anti-clockwise direction. Suppose this is the low pressure, so air will go in this direction, anti-clockwise direction in the northern hemisphere, and for the southern hemisphere it is like clockwise direction. Okay, circulatory motion like this. So these are the conditions required for the formation of the cyclone. And when we talk about the structure of the cyclone, so you can observe here from this image. Try to observe this image again. I am reflecting like one thing I am trying to make you observe, like you are seeing this. Okay, this region is visible, okay, from the aerial view. But when we talk about this region, okay, so you are seeing the darker patterns here. That means the region below this cloud is not visible, but this region is visible. It is like water body, it seems like water body. Okay, you can see here. So that means this is the calm region. Okay, and this calm region is better known as eye of the cyclone. Okay, despite it have the low pressure, but it still is calmer. Why it is calmer? you have to give me the answer. Okay, so hope you understood this thing. And now we are coming to the structure. So we have recently watched the aerial view of the cyclone in the first image. So this is the aerial view, but the main thing to understand is like what is below this aerial view. So we have this type of a structure. This is water body. Okay, it can be ocean, it can be the sea, but it cannot be land. Okay, number one, you should understand first of all. Okay, so this is the low pressure zone. Okay, and this low pressure zone, when gets extra temperature, okay, when the temperature gets increased, so it gets intensified and it starts forming the steps towards cyclone. Okay, so here because of low pressure, and low pressure means high temperature. Okay, so water vapor starts forming, and after that, when it reaches the cloud, when it reaches to the upper atmosphere, it starts condensing and also diverging. So here you can see that these are the condensation of the cloud, and this is the divergence of the cloud. Okay, so when the cloud gets diverged, it gets cooled down and it will again subside, and it will subside nearby or surrounding the low pressure. Okay, so there is a continuous supply of moisture from high pressure to low pressure, from high pressure to low pressure. Okay, so this keeps the cyclone to get intensify again and again. Okay, until and unless its moisture gets cut down. And hence you see that whenever a cyclone develop, and when these are present in the water body, whenever, okay, so it will get intensified. So this is the structure of the tropical cyclone, and it brings huge devastation to the lives, to the people. Okay, and to the infrastructure, like you are seeing in the social media, in the television, in the news, how the infrastructure was under the water, and even the blockade for the road transportation, for the air transportation, or the rail transportation. Okay, so that's the thing. And you can observe the map of India, that these are the coastal states. Okay, so as you know that these tropical cyclones occurs in the water body only, hence its impact will be more or less restricted to the coastal states, or states adjoining the coastal state. Okay, hence we do not see the impact of cyclone in Uttar Pradesh or in Uttarakhand. Okay, because these are landlocked state. Okay, but we see the impact of the cyclone if it develop in the Arabian Sea. So we can see the impact in Gujarat, in Maharashtra, in Karnataka. Okay, and if develops in the Bay of Bengal, so we can see the impact in the where the Andhra Pradesh, the Odisha, or the Bengal. Okay, so you can observe this. So that's the pattern I wanted to convey. And when we talk about characteristics of the tropical cyclone, so first of all, the center of the cyclone, which we call as eye, it is very calm and clear, but it has very low pressure. Kindly remember, you can confuse here. Okay, and average speed of this cyclone is about 120 kilometer per hour. Okay, and this is approximately to the speed of the Indian train that operates. Okay, and they have closed isobar, and isobar are like imaginary lines that connects the location or the area having the equal atmospheric pressure. Okay, and this isobar can be like this. Okay, like 10 20 bar. Okay, so this is the region that having the same pressure. Okay, and they develop over ocean and sea only. They move from east to west under the influence of trade winds, and they are seasonal in nature. But you can correlate with the climate change, that with the climate change is coming and more becoming visible, so there is a chances that extreme weather events like cyclones may get intensified. Okay, and without early warning they can come as well. So we have this. And when we understand about naming of the cyclones, so there is a process mechanism that is followed to name a cyclone. And here there is an involvement of different countries, okay, because these are not only a single country phenomena, its effect can be visible in the neighboring country as well, okay. Like when we talk about this cyclone, so it do have a effect in Sri Lanka as well. So proper collaboration is needed, and hence in 2000 a group of nations called WMOESCAP, that is known as World Meteorological Organization, United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, panel on tropical cyclone, that is the PTC panel, okay. So initially it has only 8 countries that mostly comprise the South Asian nation, okay. So they decided that we will name the cyclone if it comes in the Indian Ocean region. Here the involvement of World Meteorological Organization is very very important, okay. And furthermore, the naming for the first time started in 2004. And how the naming process happens, like these nation, they gives name suggestion, okay, to this body, and the list gets finalized by this body itself, okay. And let's say in 2020 we have the 13 members in this WMOESCAP, okay. So these 30 members given 13 names as suggestion, and that means total 169 name suggestion. So these names gets like reflected whenever a new cyclone comes, okay. So you should understand all of that. And initially this body has 8 members, but now it has been expanded to 13 members. Kindly remember this body, okay. Like 2018 5 more members were added, like Iran, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Yemen, okay. And they are mostly from this region, okay, that is the country surrounding the Indian Ocean region. So hope you understood. But one thing also I want to convey for the prelims, like once the name of the cyclone is given, further the repetition of name is not available because it has been already used, okay, before. And number 2, the alphabets of the name of the cyclone should not exceed more than 8 alphabets. Like when we talk about cyclone Michang, Michang, how many alphabets it have? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, okay. Like we have the cyclone Asan, ASAN, okay, 1 2 3 4. We have various naming of the cyclone, but they will not exceed more than 8 alphabets. So kindly remember for prelims, okay. Hope you understood. And tell me that in the northern hemisphere, okay, we have the development of temperate cyclone as well. So what is the direction of movement of temperate cyclone, okay, in the northern hemisphere and in the southern hemisphere? So please explore, okay. And we have a question for you in the last session of our discussion, so you have to solve it as well. So now we are shifting to the second article, and we have already discussed some important points regarding this article, but we will understand some more detail about it, okay. And you know that we are talking about the article where the US Department of Justice, they like in its judgment, they alleged a Indian citizen, that is Nikhil Gupta, for plotting the assassination of the pro Khalistani separatist, that is Guru Patwant Singh Pannu, and this person is now an American citizen, okay. So when we talk about Nikhil Gupta, who tried to plot the killings, so he hired an agent for this activity, but this Nikhil Gupta was not knowing that the agent he was hiring was an officer related to the US Intelligence Bureau. Okay, so when he decoded the killing plan to this person, so they alerted the US intelligence agency. Okay, and further, this Indian citizen was arrested by the US agency. Okay, although this person tried to escape, but you know that US intelligence agency is far superior, so they catch the people. Okay, so you might be understanding or might be confused that why this person tried to like plot the killing. Okay, so there is allegation that this Nikhil Gupta was contacted by another person who is an Indian official, that is government official. Okay, and who is that person, what is his or her true name is not identified now. Okay, but there is allegation that this Indian official they contacted Nikhil Gupta for assassination of this person. Okay, so hence the US authority is like making allegations against India that might be this official was directed by Indian government to plot the killing of this person. Okay, so you know the whole issue. Hope you understood. So when we talk about the response from India, so what was the response? Like India said that we will like investigate this matter with setting up of an inquiry committee and will cooperate with the US agency as well. Okay, this was the response from India. But when we talk about these type of allegations or this type of operations, so this is not the first time, but already we have series of operations which was and which is in the limelight that talks about India's involvement in such type of operations. Like in 2018 the Indian Coast Guard they forcibly returned the United Arab Emirates Princess Latifa from the international water. Number one, and we have like there is allegation of attempted kidnapping of businessman on the run. That is Mehul Choksi. You know this person is economic offender. Along with the recent incident in Qatar, we have seen the conviction of 8 former Indian naval officer in Qatar. Okay, for espionage. Okay, and the famous case of Kulbhushan Jadhav, whose matter is pending in the International Court of Justice, and this matter was highlighted in 2016. Okay, and apart from that, there's a circulation of list of alleged operation against wanted Khalistani and Pakistani operatives in Pakistan and other South Asian countries like Nepal, okay, Bangladesh, Pakistan, all of that. And media is highlighting as a proof of Indian security establishment's global reach. Okay, so what this operation suggests that like India's government agency might be involved in promoting such action, but from the government side, it is totally non-involvement on these matters or the operations. Okay, so that's the point. So when we talk about other details like why USA did not share in public, although when we talk about the recent killing of the Niger, okay, he was also a pro-Khalistani separatist, and it was he was killed in Canada. Okay, so that's why the Canadian Prime Minister highlighted this matter to India when he visited during the G20 presidency. Okay, so this is another incident. So when we talk about the information related to the Guru Patwan Singh Pannu and the plotting, so US was knowing about it. But but the US didn't share this news in the public because uh, like uh, during G20 the president also visited, the quad leaders also met, but the sharing of the information was not in the public, although US was knowing this information. But why? Because our security cooperation, our security dimensions with the US is increasing and becoming a stronger. Okay, so that's why. But maybe there is a chance that when the US president visited India, okay, so they may have cautioned India about these incidents, but they didn't reveal the full extent of information it has gathered from their intelligence agency. Okay, but what's the other matter that has been highlighted in this article, that we have the trust deficit. Despite we have the good relations and the expanding relations with the US, but there is a trust deficit still on. And because of the trust deficit, you can observe that despite in their country, in the Western country, whether we can say Canada, we can say US or other Western country, okay, there is a slogan, there is a attack on the Indian embassy, and they try to influence the domestic policy of India, okay, these separatist organization, but no action is taken. Okay, so that represents that when our interest is not served, so this represents the lack of trust. Okay, like we have another incident that with respect to the Mumbai attack in 2008. Okay, so US did give an information about the Mumbai attack. Okay, but they didn't name the person who gave the information to the US. That person was an associate member of Lashkar-e-Taiba. Okay, and his name was David Coleman Hadley. Okay, but US didn't share this name to India, and despite all of that, this person, okay, in 2009 also visited India. Okay, but we were not aware about that person, so we were unable to take action. But when we became aware about this person, so the US arrested that person, but with a compromise that this person will not be extradited to India for the punishment. Okay, so that represents the lack of trust. Okay, so you can understand that bilateral ties and strategic ties are growing in the recent year in different sphere, but trust between both the country has not kept a pace. Okay, and when we talk about impact of its action, okay, means the reference with respect to India, like when we talk about India, so India is also demonstrated a double standard in its international engagement. Like when this matter was raised by Justin Trudeau, so India cautioned Justin Trudeau and also tried to minimize the diplomatic ties, curbing the visa, okay, making the visa rules more stricter, okay, withdrawal of the embassy, all of that was going on. Okay, but when it comes to the matter with respect to USA, so the India fast forwardly started to cooperate with the US, like setting up an inquiry committee, okay, and cooperating in the investigation. Okay, so that represents the double standard. But this double standard is not only reflected by India, but also reflected in the US and the Western country as well. Like the US, you know that if there is a threat to their internal security, okay, so they can even invade on the foreign territory as well. Like we have seen various examples, like the Syria, Iraq, all of that, and the operations done by the American investigation agency MI6, Mossad. Okay, so these are the examples. But here we have to understand the impact on our neighborhood. Let's say this type of incidents, our neighborhood is also watching. Neighborhood, that means it can be Sri Lanka, it can be Bangladesh, okay, it can be Nepal. So these are our close neighbors, okay. And also the the domestic policy in India have its impact on these nation as well, okay. So with respect to the allegations, maybe South Asian country will be studying the footprint of Indian agency in their country, okay, and they may be more alert and they may more be restrictive, okay. But here the conclusion is that the image of India as soft power may be under decline, but as hard power may emerge, and with emergence of hard power, there can be the risks associated with it, with respect to the ties, with respect to the soft power, okay, and it can have its own cost and benefit. So that's the article which was suggested. Hope you understood. And now we are coming to the prelims question. You can pause the video, you can solve it, and it is related to the cyclone itself, okay, and you can easily answer it. And please try to understand, to read the statement. It has been written as incorrect, so don't choose the correct option, please choose the incorrect option, okay. So hope you understood. We'll meet again in the next session, friends. Thank you very much.